tractors arrived with us. Thank you to the ones that painted pulled over to one side to let the steam out. The leader there for parade today is the Field Marshal. Field Marshals were built up at Gainsborough, Lincolnshire. The company started building steam engines, and as the steam engines started to go out, they started to produce the single cylinder diesel engine tractors, and very, very reliable piece of machinery they were. Not quite so popular on general farm work because they were not a cheap tractor to buy in the first place, and you didn't have hydraulics or anything like that on them, but they did found great use with the thrashing contractor and forestry work, and they remained very popular. Porton diesel major with a 3-furrow plough mounted on the back. This tractor will pull that plough very, very easily. Now we've got its smaller sister, little Porton Dexter, because Porton Company only produced that big diesel major, and they suddenly found they were losing out on sales to the Ferguson. Funnily enough, it's following the Dexter round. Ferguson was so popular with a small tractor, Porton didn't build a small tractor, so they started to produce the Dexter, the 3-cylinder diesel engine. Never really knocked the Ferguson off the top spot, but it was a very, very successful tractor. Little Ferguson and following it round there was invented and developed by an Irish-born engineer, Harry Ferguson. Started his tractor visit with David Brown up at Huddersfield. Unfortunately, that partnership didn't work out. Then went with the Ford Motor Company, and that one didn't work out either because the Ford Company tried to produce a tractor and stole all his patents. And he took the Ford Motor Company, not Ford and Dagen, that was Ford in America, took them to court. He actually won the case and came back to this country, joined up with Standard Triumph Motor Company, Standard Motor Company in Coventry, started to build them in Great Virgin. They were built in their town. The most popular tractors I think ever produced, and still some of them in Wales and Scotland still being used today. There's another rare Field Marshals coming in. Not that popular for general farm work, but as a thrashing contractor, probably had a steam engine and all in the thrashing tackle about with big heavy thrashing drums, and these could pull that no problem at all, and you put a belt around the pulley and they would drive the thrashing drum all day long. Very economical, single cylinder diesel engine. This one's got an anchor on the back that's fitted with a winch, probably used in forestry work. Harry Ferguson eventually sold the company to Massey Harris. Harris' name disappeared, they became Massey Ferguson. And Massey Ferguson 135, and it was built a bit later on. International, American company that originally sent tractors over here to fleet, then they started to send them over in pieces, and they were assembled here, and they eventually built a factory here to build them in this country. None of their Field Marshals. Very distinctive sound, you can't miss one of these coming down the road. Another of their internationals, the B250. The B stands for it's British, this was a British built one, built in this country. Now, massive international crawler. Very big, huge engine. Notice it's that big an engine. Very noisy. It's got 2 exhaust pipes. Crawler tractors were very useful on soft ground and on heavy ground. Another of their internationals is as found condition. Got it running mechanically, but why not have some fun with it before you start restoring it. Here we go to a fence tractor. This one's had a 4-loader attached to it, and we're starting now to get a cab. These were built, say, in Germany and imported to this country. Massey Fergie 135. This was basically the development of the grey Fergie. Now Massey Ferguson 35, still with the rounded bonnet, this one. Another of our very, very nicely restored diesel major. There's a lot of time has been spent on that this winter doing that one up. Now we go across to America with a Minneapolis Moline. Minneapolis company, these tractors over there. The American tractors very often are petrol only and they're drawbar only. They've got no hydraulics. It's purely a drawbar tractor. Another row of grey Fergusons. Single headline from the front. The light that's on the back wing is for when you're ploughing. So you can plough in the dark because that's shone down. You can see what the plough is doing. Another Fergie with twin headlights on it. When they first came out, they were petrol only. They then went to petrol paraffin conversion, and then of course later on came diesel. Forza tractor, they never left Forza tractor looking like that. It's got a big Ford V8 engine fitted to it. Massive piece of machinery. Ford 333. Another development of Ford, you'll notice as they get younger, they're fitted up with cabs which we didn't have on the early ones. Diesel major, again, very, very popular tractor. If any of you have been along to watch tractor pulling, if you have a look at some of these tractors with a massive engine on the front of them, the back end is very often one of these diesel majors because they were so well made, they were so strong, they could take the strain. Now, an unusual one I haven't seen before, look at a little garden tractor. Probably a single cylinder engine. Looks as though it's possibly a French design, not sure. Very unusual little one. Another example of their pen is the later one, this one, that's got the cab. Some of them you'll notice have got just a cab with a canvas top. But then they start to get into it with the glass and everything in it. This one comes a bit later. It's got glass all the way round. Very big, quite a popular tractor fence ended up being in this country. Very much different, you can see over the years as we come up through the years with having the cab fitted to the tractors. You think how it used to be with the open tractor in the summer out in the field, you've got beef absolutely roasted hot. If it rained you've got soaking wet. But then we started to get the cab so at least you're a little bit drier. Of course nowadays the modern tractors, you've got air conditioning for the summer. You've got heaters in them for the winter. Very often they got sat nav now, so you don't hardly need to steer them. Standard Forza tractor. This was a tractor that was built just before and during the war. This is a pre-war one because it's got the wide wings on it. And this is the tractor that the Land Army girls would drive. Petrol paraffin, TVO is its real name, tractor vaporising oil. It started on basically TVO is paraffin. To get paraffin to burn in an engine you need to get the engine hot. So you start it up on petrol and when it's got nice and warm you change it over to TVO, which is a much cheaper fuel and you can run all day on TVO. Very, very simple tractor. You've only got one foot pedal, halfway down is the clutch, all the way down to the ground is the brake, on the back wheels only, and a very, very popular tractor indeed. tractors. Now getting one, they're larger ones. This one's got all the strings of a cab on it, and it'll be four-wheel drive as well. Notice they're much bigger wheels on the front than you used to find on the earlier tractors, and they're very much a track grip tyre as well. So it's now four-wheel drive. Done some work. Much bigger implement behind it to be able to tow it along and got plenty of grip. So notice the cab, curved windscreen and everything at the front. Complete luxury. Windows all the way round. Mirrors the lock on it. With a big diesel engine. Now we got a British Leyland. Started out as Duffield, they later became Leyland. This one's actually for sale if you want a Leyland, nice little Leyland tractor. Diesel engine, fitted with a cab, so you keep nice and warm and dry in there. A reasonably popular tractor, didn't really survive the military tractors for too long. It started as Duffield, because that was the name of the owner of the BMC, British Motor Corporation at the time. And so they called their tractors Duffield, but the Duffield name dropped and they became Leyland. Tractors have been parked up right down the bottom end of the field where the trade stands are, so they've got to work their way up and down there. After starting out with the standard Ford company started to produce the E27 N towards the Major. And here's an example of this petrol paraffin engine, much higher ground clearance tractor. We've actually got two of them here, but one of them's fitted with a diesel engine. Now, when you wanted a diesel engine on a Ford tractor, it didn't come from Fords like it at that time. Your dealer that you bought your tractor from, he would actually fit the diesel engine. Another example of a diesel Major with a transporter box on the back. These boxes will be used to take the feed out to the field for the animals. David Brown. This one's still undergoing restoration. He hasn't got the transfers on it yet. David Brown's a build up at Huddersfield. Originally started out as red, all of a sudden they went over this cream colour. Quite why, I don't know. Still around today, amalgamated with Case, an American company, still producing tractors today. Now another of their standard horses, but not an agricultural one. This is what we call an industrial. You notice it hasn't got tractor tyres, it's got road going tyres on it. Same petrol paraffin engine, but this was used for towing purposes. Sometimes they wouldn't go on the road, other times they would be used in yards. This one's got electric lighting and everything on it, which you didn't normally have on a tractor like this, so it's very much a bit of a special one, this one. Strangely though, it was a road going tractor, they didn't fit wheels to them. They were completely open the back wheel. Well, there we are, lovely. Right, I think we've got nearly an example of nearly every make of tractor that's ever produced in there. So, big thank you to the owners and drivers for taking the trouble to bring them up down the bottom of the field to join us here in the arena. loading tractor. All the work on the farms was go back even further, it was done by oxen. And an ox, if it wanted to move, would move. If it didn't want to move, it wouldn't move. And I often sort of think of it, is that where the word stubborn old cow comes from? But then of course horses became available, and they started to use, they would do all the farm work. You imagine when you were ploughing, every mile that horse walked up the field, you walked along behind him with holding on to the plough, single furrow at a time. So of course when motor tractors became reliable, first one of the early ones of those was called an idle, built up in Buckinghamshire, and it still exists today. And I have seen it out with a rally a long time ago, but it is still out, it is still around, it does still run. And then from there, that was one of the most successful ones. Then things developed on over the years, and we've seen it tractors like we here at 60 today. So, thank you very much all the tractor owners and drivers for joining us this weekend. Make your way out now. Thank you. To the autumn time, we get ploughing matches all over the country, down the country, villages, areas, you have ploughing matches, and I think there's a ploughing match in the country now that doesn't have a section for the tractors. And we saw that, of course, in diesel major with the street furrow plough on the back, and a lot of these lads, although they haven't got the implements with them today, and the ladies as well, they haven't got the implements with them on the track today, they will see when it comes to ploughing match season, they will have a 2 or 3 furrow plough on the back, and they will go out in the field and have a go at ploughing.